Hello, hello, hello. New dawn, new day, new book, House of Rust. Now, this it's been quite a while since I've done my last book review, yeah. And it's not like I guess I haven't been reading as much, but I have read a few books since the last book review. It's just I haven't gone around to making a thumbnail for it, and so I kind of lost motivation to do the actual book review. Okay, for this book review, I'm trying something new. As you can see, it's the speed paint of my thumbnail. Hopefully, you guys enjoy it. I kind of messed up because I forgot to record the last part. I did this thumbnail like through different days, and sometimes I was just not feeling it, and so I forgot to record it. Anyways, that's besides the point. Let's get into it. Now, the House of Rust. I what I like to do for books is just go to the general fiction section and then just pick up a book with a nice cover or something that sounds interesting. The reason I bought this book was because number one, it was by a non-white author and it's set in a non-white country. It's set in Kenya, Mombasa, and I think that was, I think I would like to read more from POC writers, try to see different cultures, and I didn't know it at the time. But once I started reading this story, the characters, it's based around the Muslim minority in Kenya called the Hadramats. Yeah. So that's cool. That's cool. I get to see a few Islamic phrases which I am semi familiar with. So that's that. And yeah, the story, what I knew back then was that it was about a girl who lost her father at sea and then she went to find him. I thought that was the main premise of the story. Keep that in mind. Technically, the blurb did say there's more to it, but I thought the whole shtick was that she lost her father at sea. But anyways, that was it. So the story itself, it follows Aisha mainly, which is the main character. Her father gets lost. Her father is a fisherman. He goes out to find something. He's in love with the sea. It's so Moana vibes. He's in love with the sea, and then he gets lost, or he does a return, and then she makes a pact with herself to go find him because no one else would. Not even his fisherman friends, because his fisherman friends also say that it's like he went to dangerous waters, like only a fool would do that. And so he went there and his fisherman friends didn't do anything about it. And then it's all left to Aisha to find him. Let me see where to start. Now, the story itself, I read some reviews at the start and they were like, this type of writing is definitely not going to be for some people. And I think I agree with that because, okay, this story is a fiction, fantasy esque type shtick where there is elements of, it's not just fiction, there are talking animals. And so halfway through the book, you're going to meet a talking cat, and then there are also talking crows, things like that. Um, and there are spirits, you know, folklore stuff, folklore shtick. The thing about this writing that I think is definitely a choice to have is that the writer has follows Aisha, mainly follows Aisha. There's the whole fifth, like 90% of the chapters follows Aisha, but the other 10% follows these random like side characters that all kind of relate to Aisha. They all kind of have a connection to Aisha, which I assume helps to build the world around Aisha, right? And it does that. But I feel like it's a bit lacking, especially at the start. It pulls you out of it because, okay, at the start, it's all about Aisha. Okay, we get a small bit about Omar, I think, which is this little kid that's also kind of connected to Aisha. He did some errands or something. And then afterwards, you also get a glimpse of, I want to say it's not Hamza, it's like Hai Kao or something. That's just a Malay name. But this other kid who is Aisha's love and like who likes Aisha. Aisha doesn't like him, but it's the love interest basically. And those are all humans. But then we get suddenly like switched to the point of view of a talking crow. And then because it's a talking crow, they live it's like the terms they use, obviously they don't correlate with what we're used to reading, and it's just the whole world is different. You're seeing through the eyes of a crow and the crow world, and they use a lot of terms that make sense because they're not human, but as a reader, having that quick switch suddenly is a lot to take in. And I think it's a lot of exposition as well. Just it's exposition for something that's not going to be talked about until the very end, until you kind of forget about it. Literally, when we switched to the talking crow, his name was like White Breast or something because his chest is white. I forgot why it was because his name was White Breast or something like that. But when we switched to that, I don't remember much from it. And when it came up again, like I knew they were characters, but when it came up again, it just the world, the exposition that they were supposed to build, it didn't stick with me because I think it was too separated from the world that was introduced, and it was like left out for a big chunk of the time because after that chapter, after that short segment of the crow's POV, we went back to Aisha and the humans, and it was just that for a long, long time. And so at the end of the book or near the end of the book, when we switched back to that POV, I didn't know what the hell was happening. And it's supposed to be, I get it, it's supposed to be two worlds, one world where it's of humans, you can see in a human point of view, and one view of like the folklore animal characters. Except the folklore animal characters, you don't really, there wasn't much there wasn't much focus and weight put into building those environments. And so even though it was damn confusing. Okay, anyways, let's get on to the story, right? Like I said, she was finding her father, I see. And to do that, she met this talking cat, very mysterious. He calls himself Hamza, I'm pretty sure Hamza. And Hamza is very mysterious, and he's just like, I will show you the way. He brings her a mysterious bone boat, and then they go off to search for her dad. Now, this story, I think Aisha has so much, what is it called? Like, plot armor, because it's so much plot armor, and it's so structured. It's like NPC against NPC. Okay. She meets three people. She goes out to sea, and number one, she meets one shark, I'm pretty sure, like abandoned shark that her dad saved when they were younger, and then the shark fell in love with the dad, and then and then the shark wanted to marry Aisha, but then the dad's like no, and then the dad left the shark alone, and then the shark was heartbroken. Anyways, it's just a side character. And then Aisha like talked it through with the shark, and then the shark let her through, and then afterwards she met this ghost boat with a bunch of like with the spirits of a bunch of children, and then she somehow made it through begging, and then she finally met the monster or the beast that took her father, which is the king of sharks, and she killed him. It's so anticlimactic actually, because it's so like I said, it's very, this happened and this happened and then she won, this happened and then she won, this happened and she won. She was never in a point where you felt like there's no action at all. Actually, there's no action. She goes to the first shark, she talks it through his breakup, she understands a little bit about why her father decided to leave her out on expeditions, on these these like ocean expeditions anymore, and he said, oh okay, and then she talked it out with the shark, and then the shark let her through. Okay, even though the shark's like, be careful, don't go there, and then she went there anyways. And then she meets the next foe, which by all like rules of logic, she should not survive. It's a ghost boat, right? With like spirits of children who is all so much stronger than her. But then she like bejukes it by acting frail and weak, and then they let her through. And then finally she meets the king of sharks, the entity that everyone is scared of, you know? Like the first scared shark and the second like boat of dead children, they're all scared of this one entity, the king of sharks, the king of the sea. And even the fisherman who told Aisha not to go out to sea is like, your father flew too close to the sun, basically, right? He probably like is dead because of this entity, the king of sharks. And then Aisha defeats it by stabbing it, and then it bled because it's made. Okay, I think the idea of the king of sharks is cool. It's an entity that is just made of sharks, mega shark, basically Sharknado, if you will. And Aisha defeats it by just stabbing it, and the blood causes the sharks to frenzy and then eat itself, and then the king of shark dies. But it's so not action packed, and it's so like like if Aisha could kill the shark just by one pierce, how the hell did her like father not be able to do that? And why did no one else were able to do that if it was that easy? Because it made it sound really easy to kill the king of sharks, but no one's done it before. Anyways, after Aisha killed the king of sharks, or I guess after Aisha hurt the king of sharks, and then the king of sharks like cannibalized itself, she found her father still semi alive, like unconscious, wrapped inside net, been through like inside all the bodies of sharks, and then she takes him back to land. Now, this was halfway through the book. I thought this was going to be the whole book, which I guess I'm glad it's not, because if this was the whole book, I'd be so disappointed. It's so damn boring. Okay, I'm sorry. Through that whole section, the first section of finding her father, I think it's not for me. It's not for me. It's too um I'm telling you, they prioritize, I think they prioritize, I guess it's just not logical enough for me. She's not supposed to survive that. Yeah. Near the end, Hamza very mysteriously like just said, you should visit the House of Rust. Um you're gonna get all your answers there, because she's still very damn confused about why there's a talking cat and why, you know, all of that happened. You know, she was living a very normal life until now when there's a ghost boat and everything. And then Hamza's like, this is the only time, this is the only invitation you're gonna get to the mysterious House of Rust. Take it or leave it. She left it, and then she's like, let me just save my dad. Sure, whatever, whatever. And then Hamza goes away forever. Halfway through the book, and then now we're going through the second section. The second section, I didn't know what to expect. Um, it was a bit it was still a bit like lackluster, I think. There is one scene which I really enjoyed, which I think really, it was really cool, actually. It was when Aisha came back, and then Aisha went to her father's fisherman friends to kind of, help him because he's unconscious. And then turns out Lord Drop, the fisherman friend's Zubair, I think his name was, is a heart cutter. And what he does is that he cuts open hearts to kind of get rid of certain like passions. And I think that was really cool. And the whole scene, it was written where Zubair cut her father's heart, and then the sea basically like gushed out of him. And through that, it was kind of like sad moment where Aisha kind of realized that the thing that made her father, the love for the sea, is now gone, and he's gonna be a whole different person. That scene beautifully written, and I love the fantasy vibe. It actually feels like fiction fantasy. You know, you get that wow, where wow, where it's not just separated, where humans live with humans, and then you get a glimpse of like the animal folklore thing. It was very separated at the start, but then this kind of mixes it together, where there is Zubair, the person who has fantastical elements about him. You know, lovely character, lovely character, and lovely scene. From that, she steals a bit of like the little guys that came out of her father's heart, and then those guys, they're like important, not really. Even at the like all of these small things, they all led up to something, but that something in the end, I don't think was strong enough for me to have a eureka moment of like, wow, that's so cool. There was never, it never felt fully, I was never fully satisfied with the conclusion, I think. Okay, after that, right, she has her dad back. Her dad slowly wakes up in consciousness. Everybody goes on living happily, except Aisha is not satisfied. Aisha wants to find the House of Rust, which is kind of like, you kind of lost a chance. Yeah, Hamza gave you the choice and you just didn't pick it. Anyways, she goes to different animals, hoping that they will talk to her, because she's like, if there's a talking cat, there must be other talking animals. And then you might be thinking this is where the talking crows come, which yes, they do come, but they don't really interact with her, which I think kind of gave me a bit of a problem as well, because then you're still separating the two. Aisha spent literally like three-fourths of the second segment of the book just trying to find talk to animals. And then the whole three-fourths section of the book, you get to see the crow's point of view, where they had their own like character arc. But the character arc was quite boring, I think. Where the original crows, Whitebreast and some other like goalie or something, got kicked out. Whitebreast got kicked out of the crowdom, the crow kingdom, the crowdom, and so I forgot exactly what happened, but he decided to be independent, which is so uncrow like, and he went to, you know, look and investigate Aisha. And they were all doing this because all the animals there, they were originally afraid of this one guy, this one, I forgot what his name was. Maybe I'll search it up, but it's the snake. It's like, it's not a king of snakes. It's just, you know, like a snake entity. They're scared of this snake entity, and this snake entity, he's asleep. And what happened last time when he awoke was mass destruction, and so all of the animals, uh, they're kind of all discussing, and what's it called? They're like gossiping about when the snake guy is gonna awake, and if it does, it's gonna be so bad. It's gonna be so bad. I don't know what the hell that was for, honestly. Cause then the snake guy awakes, but turns out he's not evil. There's no mass destruction, and actually he's friends with like Zubair. He's friends with like the heart cutter lineage, and he knows Zubair when he was young, and he's just some guy that steals shadows. He's just some guy. And okay, I think I know what the problem was I had with the book. Is that there is no sense of, there is a goal, but there is no sense of urgency, or like there's no problem in the first place. There's a goal, there's no problem, and there's no urgency. And so things just happen, and they just build on to each other. Like this snake guy, he's supposed to be evil, but then he's not evil. And then Aisha plays a riddle game with him, like a Swahili riddle game with him, and then he steals her shadow. And when he did that, I'm like, oh my god, so cool. What the hell is going to happen now? Aisha just uses her shadow to like fake her second identity at home while she goes out in the sea again. And so it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing that her shadow got stolen. Because number one, it wasn't even stolen. The thing guy didn't even steal the shadow. He just separated the shadow. And then Aisha used the shadow to just make it possible for her to live with her aunt while she goes out to sea. So it wasn't a problem in the first place. It's just a thing that happened. And I guess, yeah. And then in the end, everybody got together and then they all agreed that Aisha would be better if she just followed her dreams of going to explore the sea, and how she's not like other girls. Just so you know, throughout the story, they drop hints, or like whatever, of her being different. She's not ladylike. Her aunt wants her to get married. Her love interest and all of that, but then she rejects it. And then there was even this scene which I don't know if it was supposed to be a nod to like her being a lesbian, or just to show the difference between her and a girly girl, but it was very weird, where she met someone. I forgot who exactly it was, like maybe her neighbor, or like some, or like just a girl. And then she's so petite and fragile and so ladylike, and then she speaks in such a soft voice and everything. And then the writer, like the writer contrasts it with Aisha, and how she's not ladylike, how she's raised as a boy since she was young because her father always took her out to the sea, and how she's not like that. And it's so, I don't know. Maybe I'm not woke enough. Maybe we do need more of this representation of just women not being ladylike. But are we still in that age where we need to have that? Because now it just seems kind of cliche. It really does seem cliche that this is the type of representation women have, of just your boy like. And really, can I guess the other layer is that, oh, it's like, it's Muslim, right? You're in a Muslim, like, uh family, and so I guess the roles of women is more defined there. And going against that, it's like, oh, wow, wow, wow. But I don't know. I don't know, man. I live in a freaking Muslim nation, and I've seen enough Malay women to know that nobody gaffs, and it's not all just, oh, to go against femininity is just to be a boy. Come on, man. Boring. Boring. And so that is the House of Rust. It ended very, like, she can go find herself. And yeah, how would I rate it? I think I'll rate it a solid 3 out of 5. I forgot. Oh, did I go by 10 scale? Very average 5.2 out of 10. I will give it 5 out of 10, but just because of that scene of Zubair cutting open her father's heart, I think that raised it by zero point 0.2 points. I think that was a beautifully written scene, and I love the fantastical elements. Everything else, I think it's a bit like, come on, man. I don't want to be reading two different stories of crows and Aisha. I think that's a bit too much. It's a bit, or like, you just make another book about the crows things. We didn't need to know about that. We didn't need to know about that. And no way you made the main villain, the quote unquote villain, or the quote unquote like scary figure of the story that's overlooming the whole animal kingdom, be a nice normal guy. What? What? Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't want to go English literature on this book. I'm just gonna move on to the next. So thank you all for listening to this, and yeah.